Welcome to the Force Multiplier Podcast, where we talk about tactical business strategies, building high-performance sales teams, and growing your business. If you're ready to break free from the status quo and join the ranks of the Mavericks, the Rebels, and the Renegades who refuse to conform and instead build multi-million-dollar businesses, then buckle up, because here we go. Welcome to this episode of the Force Multiplier Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Will, and as always, this podcast is based on my Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling books, The Dropout Multimillionaire, and my latest book, which is called No, The Psychology of Sales and Negotiation. Now, today we're going to talk about how to be successful in sales, how to close more, how to win virtually every time, and why no is actually a yes. Now, I ask people all the time in sales training, what is your objective in the sales process? And most of the time they tell me that they are looking to make a sale or to get a yes. Now, the problem with that is if you're only looking for the sale, you are going to fail most of the time. The reality is most sales presentations end in a no. So instead of success being defined as a yes, what I want you to do is I want you to change your goal. And your new goal is just to get an answer. If you can get an answer, then you win every time. Now, what I'm looking for here is either a yes, a no, or a clear direction. You need one of those on every presentation. A yes is easy. I'm interested and I want your product or service. A no is I am not interested. And this means, by the way, that you don't have to waste any more time on them. And then a clear direction means that you now have a specific follow-up task and time to get back with your client. A yes is a yes, and that's a win. A no is also a win because you can now move that person out of your queue and you can move on to the next client or the next lead. You're going to stop wasting time. Way too many salespeople fool themselves into thinking that they have something they don't. I see it all the time. They keep their pipeline and it looks full, but it's actually what I call a fairy tale wish list of people who told them no and they didn't recognize it. Now, they do this for a couple of reasons. The first would be because they don't understand what a no is, and so they're keeping this person around and wasting a lot of time following up. The second is they think that their manager expects them to have a big pipeline, so they keep it full. Unfortunately, they're keeping it full of BS. They're holding out hope, which is number 3, that that person may come back at some point in the future and buy something. That's a waste of time. Now, by the way, if you're a sales manager, I'm going to assume that you understand what a no looks like, and you should be going through your team's pipeline to help them understand what is real and what is not. If you're a salesperson, it is critically important that you understand and recognize a no. Let's assume for a second that you are working 10 leads a day. Now, it doesn't matter if it's 10 leads, 2 leads, or 50 leads. This is a math exercise. We're also going to assume that your close ratio is, we'll call it 25%. And once again, it doesn't matter if it's 5, 25, or 50%. We're back at our math exercise. Whatever it is, it is. What it means, though, is the opposite percentage of whatever your close ratio is represents bad leads and a waste of time. It's funny, I walked into the last call center I did a group session for, and the first thing I told them on day 1 was your leads suck. Now, that was a kind of a shocking statement, and they were all looking at me, and a few of them said, yeah, that's right. I've been saying that all along. The leads suck. The close ratio had in this call center was between, say, 10 and 15%, depending on how good the salespeople were. So I followed my statement up with, your leads suck because your close ratio should be about 15%. And what that means is that 85% of the leads or the clients or the prospects you are talking to will never close. 85% of them suck. Your job as a salesperson is to figure out which ones will close and which ones won't. Okay? When you figure that out, you can move through those no's faster and get to the yeses. And guess what? You make more money, the company makes more money, everybody wins. As long as you keep that closing ratio in that target range, in this case it was 15%, I don't care how fast you move through the leads. I want you to move through them as quickly as possible, and I want you to make a killing. I've never seen a sales organization say, hey, I know your close ratios are very high, but you need to slow down and stop selling. Doesn't happen. Now let's talk about a clear direction. A clear direction is where we separate the no from the future yes. Okay, we call this a future yes. This is where we begin to move through the leads. A clear direction is either a specific time frame for follow-up, or it's a specific task that you need to accomplish that leads to the follow-up. Oh, by the way, Mr. Salesperson, can you get me more information on this topic and then call me? And when I say specific, I do mean specific. I mean, I'm going to call you next Tuesday. Hey, Mr. Prospect, I will get you that information, and I've got some time between 12 and 2 tomorrow. Does that work for you? Yes or no? If they tell you, look, I'll call you, that's a no. If they say, hey, call me next week, that's a no. If they say, call me at the end of the month, that's a no. Any non-committal is probably a no. And it's a no because either you didn't correctly follow the sales process that we've taught you, you didn't overcome their objections before they had them, you didn't get the 3 whys and a win. By the way, all this is in a previous podcast you got to go back and listen to. Or they were never really interested in the first place. At the end of the day, this is probably a no, and you need to move on. Now, I will qualify this by saying this. Your close ratios still need to remain in whatever range the company has told you they were supposed to be in. If you start speeding up the process and blowing through leads and your close ratio goes from 15 down to 10, then you are missing opportunities and you're doing it wrong. Okay? You need to go back, refigure out what you're doing wrong, start over, move quickly, but keep that close ratio up. Okay? Now, if you're interested in learning more about this kind of stuff, or if you're a sales manager and you're interested in getting this type of information out to your sales force, send me an email, go to my website, drop me a note, let's set up a call and we can talk about it. This is part of the training we do, both in groups and in one-on-one training sessions. I've taught this stuff to organizations all over the country. My sales teams have sold billions of dollars in products and services. But here's what I know. This works, and I can make you better. So that's it for today. I appreciate you being with me on the Force Multiplier podcast. If you want more information, go to www.brianwillmedia.com or www.theforcemm.com. Drop me a note. We'll set up a call. And remember, you have to be in the game to win the game. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you would like to get more information on either of my books, joining the Force Multiplier Mastermind, or my one-on-one coaching programs, you can find me at www.brianwillmedia.com.